Welcome to Bonafide Noob Jobs. I'm going to show you how I made this 2008 Dodge Grand Caravan's headlights go from this to this. But first, a quick character profile of what we're working with. This is not just any old Caravan. It's a dad Caravan. Yes, my own dad's Caravan, in fact. This is the kind of ride that has hauled thousands of collective pounds within its lifetime. Its odometer currently reads 181,130 miles. It has the classic perpetual check engine light in the cluster, and of course, the locking mechanism on the doors are pretty much completely far gone. Here's a quick walk around the front, just so you can see the condition of its headlights. Now let's take a quick look at our necessary materials, then jump straight into our restoration job. First, we have just a standard spray bottle. It's just filled with water. Then we have foam applicator pads. We're only using one. This is the foam pad buffing attachment for your power drill. That is the Sylvania headlight restoration kit. In this case, I only used the UV coat. I didn't use the surface preparation serum. Gloves. You could probably get away with like cheap bulk 100 pack of gloves from eBay, but I buy from AutoZone. This was the cheapest one there. We have our series of sandpapers. Obviously they've been used, but there's some unused ones in there still. 600, 1500, 2500, MasterPro brand, same as that. 3M, just painter's tape, I guess you could call it, auto tape. Turtle wax polishing compound. This one's really used. It still works though. A DEWALT power drill. And an extension cord. If you have some sort of external power source, you could just plug that into the power source, but this is a lot cheaper if you have access. And then paper towel, and then this is optional. This is just to put on the floor while you're working to avoid rubbing compound stains from messing up your floors or ground. And so all of this runs you approximately this many dollars. So find an ideal spot to park your car. I'm just doing the driveway for the sake of recording, but ideally I would have done it in the garage. Tape the sides of the headlight with your painter's or auto tape, and make sure you have the hood popped open so that you could cover the top as well. Starting with our most gritty sandpaper, the 600 grit, and we have our spray bottle and paper towels. We're doing a wet sanding job, so spray the surface you're working on. Just go section by section, circular motions, and take your time. Try to evenly distribute how much rubbing you're doing in a given area. And every once in a while, you're going to wipe off the residue with a rag or a paper towel. If this were like a Bugatti, I would not be using regular paper towels, but I think I can get away with it in this case. And then I'm also just attempting to show you the dirtiness of the paper towel here. It's gonna progressively get cleaner as you go. And I should correct myself. This isn't just dirtiness we're rubbing off. Headlights are almost exclusively made of polycarbonate plastic nowadays. So all this yellow stuff on our paper towel is oxidized polycarbonate plastic. So you're kind of just scraping off deeply embedded UV rays out of the headlight's surface. Look at all that oxidized plastic. That marked round one of our 600 grit sanding job. We want to do 2 jobs for every grade. So 2 times 600, 2 times 1500, and 2 times 2500. That's optional, but I believe that it makes a much better finished product. In my case of what I'm working with, there aren't any pre-existing scratches in the headlights that are noticeable that I would have to intentionally sand down and cause the surrounding area to be level. So for me, this is a really easy job. Here's the paper towel check after the second round of 600 grit sanding. By the way, those black dots, that's just from me setting my sandpaper down on the driveway instead of on a clean surface. So at this point, you should notice the headlight is much less yellow, although it is still foggy, and it has some scratches. But don't worry because the finer sandpapers will remove the scratches. Okay, moving on to our 1500 grit sandpaper. I'm going to be silent for most of this process. You can just watch. It's basically the exact same thing as the 600. The only things I'll comment, you're going to notice a lot less residue coming off with the paper towel. And the second time I show you the paper towel, you'll see some dirt on it, but that's just because I accidentally touched some of the portion under the hood. Okay, this is starting to look better. There will still be some noticeable micro scratches, but like I said, the finer sandpaper, 2500, should get those out. And here it is. This one, it's a long strip of sandpaper. I like to just fold it in half, or alternatively, you could cut it in half. I also want to just take this opportunity to apologize for how unfocused my camera has been. Maybe my next noob job should be learning how to use this camera. Look at that, almost no residue coming off with the paper towel. Now we just need to do one more job sanding it, and then we get to move on to the buffing. I thought it might be cool to offer you guys a first-person perspective wiping the residue. It's going to be a little choppy because it's 2x speed. All of this done, and we are 33 minutes in. Now let's go straight into buffing. Let's take our foam pad out of the plastic. We're going to be attaching it to our power drill. I love this thing, it's awesome. I would really recommend using a power drill that has a touch sensitive trigger. This thing here that just adjusts which direction your drill goes. That's standard on a drill. And it doesn't matter if you're going right or left. That's totally up to you. Let's put this on. Just gonna spin the chuck righty-tighty. And secure. And there are a few clicks at the end. You should hear that. This is the turtle wax polishing compound. I don't know what it's supposed to look like. This is what mine looks like cottage cheese. Sometimes I need to put a little water on it so it's not all crusty, but it works. I'm gonna lay out one garbage bag on the floor. To be honest, this didn't really save much of my driveway from getting messy. I did a pretty clean job, but it's an extra precaution. I recommend turning the trash bag inside out so that all the dirtiness goes to the inside. Then you can turn it right side out and use it like a regular trash can without wasting. So I'm getting just a small pinch of the polishing compound and I'm rubbing it in with my hand. Some people might be pretty dogmatic and be like, oh, you need to put it directly on the foam pad. But I did that before and it made a huge mess. So I found that doing it this way, spreading a thin coat with your hand, will make it much cleaner, and it's gonna look just as good in the end. Find a good position that you're comfortable with, and really focus on maintaining control. You see, sometimes I'm kind of losing that control. I need to get better. So don't go too hard either. You can easily scratch the lens by going too hard. I'm the type of person who, when I use an electric toothbrush, I flatten that thing out. Don't pretend this is your teeth. Pretend this is a very malleable, delicate surface, and just take your time. This Caravan has a certain protruding part on the headlight. That's why I'm trying to tackle this one at an angle. Unlike when we were sanding the headlight, we don't need to do 2 rounds of buffing. Just 1 and done. That's good news. So this is what it's looking like now. I think it's looking pretty good if I do say so myself. But we're not done. If you were to just leave the headlight like this, untreated with a UV coat, then it could just become yellow again in a matter of weeks. So don't stop yet. Get your foam applicator pad. This is the Meguiar brand. I like the foam pad much better than using, say, a cloth or a blue paper towel. Here's the Sylvania kit. It comes with a step 1 preparation, but I don't like using it. I just want the UV coat. They include blue paper towels, but like I said, use the foam pad if you have one, please. Now for applying it, you don't need to put too much. I like to just put 3 dots in a straight line, sort of lining up with where my fingertips are when I hold the pad. There you go. Be very intent on doing straight, single swipe lines when you apply this. You can't go back if you make a mistake. I'm just rubbing off any little specks or dust that got on the surface. And here we go. Straight swipe. I actually mess up on this second one. You saw how that was a little curvy? But I can't go back. Believe me, it'll make your headlight look really bad if you even try to correct a wipe by just streaking over it. This is what it's looking like. Even better than before. Although, look closely, you can see where I did that bad application on the second swipe. You see how it's a little hazy? Right there? Yeah, don't do what I did. Now it's time for the obligatory victory pose. Was not really satisfying. And I went ahead and did the second headlight myself. I wanted to show you, if you get any polishing compound inside this crevice, the crevice of your headlight, just get a Q-tip and work it out. You wouldn't want it to dry up in there, So clean it ASAP. Here we go. I did the second one off camera. Looks great. The only thing I didn't do was put the UV coat. I'm going to show that. But first, this is how we should clean our driveway or whatever floor you worked on. This stuff can easily just make ugly stains. So rub it off with some water and some kind of scrub brush. It should be pretty easy, but don't procrastinate on this. All right, I'm wiping off more specks on this side. This is after I've sanded and buffed it, or polished if you want to say. Now I'm putting on the UV coat. If you are capable, as a right-handed person, to do this with your left hand, please do. I think it's just going to make it a lot easier to produce straight lines. And I'm really satisfied with the swiping I did on this one. They were all straight, just 5 consecutive swipes. And here we have our finished product. Glassy. Okay, now we're just going to quickly clean everything up. Hold that metal part and then turn left on your chuck. Get your foam pad off. Now, look at how dirty this is. I was holding it with my dirty gloved hands. Don't leave it like that. Get some baby wipes and then wipe it all off. Much better. It didn't even take that long. Okay, wrap the cord around just to be organized. Now look at our spaghetti. This is the extension cord. We got to clean this up. I like to just do the rock climber method where I pretend I'm cleaning up some rope. The only thing with this, you can't do it if your cord is too tangled. You see this? I got tangled there, but it easily came out. Just going to continue with that. Look how fast I'm going. When you take it off, careful not to catch your hair or your headphones. Now you're going to try to make them even on both sides, lengthwise. Grab your 2 ends, wrap it around, tuck it under the circumference like a belt. Okay, easy. And if you had something to hang it on, you could. Look at the time. We're at 87, just under 88 minutes, and we're almost completely done. Now all we need to do is take off our tape. Ideally, I would wait about 1 to 2 hours before taking the tape off because there's going to be some specks of polishing compound that come off when you do this, especially on the top end. But I had to go to work and I couldn't just leave the car like this for various reasons. Make sure you wipe off those specks so it doesn't sit and join with the UV coating. And then after you've taken off the tape, we're gonna take down the hood. I tried to do this with one hand. It worked, but don't try this at home. Look at this. This just added so many years of life to this workhorse of a car. So now we're just putting it back in the garage. That would be the ideal place for it to sit, somewhere shaded. You don't want direct sun on it if you can help it. A little light test. Looks good. High beams. Yep. Awesome. So now my job is done. And I hope this was helpful for you guys. Total time, 92 minutes. But if you tried really hard, you could probably do 80.
Alright, what'd you do?
Like, how does it look?
Oh my goodness, Emmy. What? Did you buy new headlights?
No, I restored it.
That looks like new headlights.
It is pretty
I
glassy.
was actually going to consider buying new headlights. I didn't know that's possible. Wow.
Nice.
Thank you.
Huggy. Thank you all so much for watching. If I have any experts in my audience, please feel free to offer your expertise in the comments. Let me know what I could have done better. If anybody has any reason why they use that step 1 serum in the Sylvania UV kit, please let me know. Because unless I hear otherwise, I'm just not going to use it. Thank you guys again. See you next time.